Hey, I'm Callie Lewis. You're watching Geek Brief TV. This is Brief 396, brought to you by Drobo. If you've been around Geek Brief long enough, you know we love talking about what's new to the consumer electronics market, but the yearning in my heart is to influence which products come to market. Since I first heard about the concept of crowdsourcing, I wanted to make it a part of Geek Brief. We start with a central idea and pull together resources from all over the world to make it a reality. Mike Arrington just issued an open call to the tech community to do just that. Without Apple, without Nokia, without Microsoft, and without Sony, why can't we come together and build something really cool that's 100% focused on the user experience? I want to get behind Mike's idea to build an inexpensive touchscreen internet tablet, so let's talk about the goal. He wants it to be MacBook Air thin with a touchscreen that runs Firefox and Skype on top of a Linux kernel. He just wants a single button for power, a headphone jack, a built-in camera, low-end speakers, a mic, Wi-Fi, a USB port, a built-in battery, half a gig of RAM, and a 4 GB solid-state hard drive. Since it isn't meant to do much other than browse the web, Mike thinks hardware costs would be low, and his goal is to bring it to market for about $200. That's the only part I'm skeptical about, because if you go cheap on every component, you get something less than elegant like the EPC. I'll be surprised if it doesn't suck if it comes to market under $400, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong on what it might cost. I'd also like it to include Bluetooth so that it could be paired with Apple's little Bluetooth keyboard or a non-Apple alternative. We talk a lot about the democratization of media. It's given me, a girl in Texas who loves tech, a measure of influence in the tech world. Mike has much more influence than me, and with this idea, he's tapped into one of my huge dreams, the democratization of product development. I don't know about you guys, maybe I'm an anomaly, but I almost always have about 5 ideas in my head for products that aren't being made by anyone, anywhere. My dream for the future is that ideas become easier and easier to turn from thought to reality, and the way Mike Arrington has proposed this tablet just might bring us a step closer to making that happen. I could easily make a whole show about this, but y'all have the idea. If you have some skills or other resources to contribute, you'll want to check the links in the show notes at www.geekbrief.tv. Digital cameras seem to be on an innovation plateau. David Pogue proved there's a limit to the benefits provided by more and more megapixels. There's no major motivation to think outside the box of a standard camera shape, because when someone does, consumers largely reject it. Sometimes the best thing we can do for new technology is to go old school, just like Samsung did with the new TL9. It provides a beyond Pogue's recommendation, 10 megapixel resolution, a 2.7-inch LCD, a 5x optical zoom, a maximum ISO of 1600, and dual image stabilization, and those specs are just a repetition of specs we encounter every day. The thing Samsung designers did different with this camera, the thing that makes me really love it, is that they put 2 analog gauges on top. Both look like a fuel gauge, with the top indicating full and the bottom indicating empty. One tells the photographer how much battery is left, and one tells the photographer how much card space is left. Digital is smart. Analog is beautiful. Professor Martin Polyakov is a scientist at the University of Nottingham who's doing something he calls an experiment. I call it brilliant. He set up a website called the Periodic Table of Videos. You can find it at periodicvideos.com. When you browse to the site, you see something you'll remember from school, the periodic table of elements. Here's what's different. Clicking on any of the elements delivers an entertaining and informative Mythbusters-like video about that particular element. Take a look at a clip from the one about sodium.
Many of you will know that if you drop sodium into water, it reacts almost explosively.
So we're gonna go outside now to do some bigger reactions with some of the alkali metals. So this is a dog bowl, which is stoneware. It's very hard, not likely to break unless I drop it on my toes. This is sodium, the metal that we cut a minute ago, and you can see there's quite a substantial amount of the sodium. I'm waiting to pop it into the water and see what we can do with the reaction. Okay, so here we have a bowl full of water and maybe, a gram of sodium. So let's see what happens, see what this reaction's like. So it's reacting really quite quickly and really violently with the water. And you can see it's fizzing around as it's generating lots and lots of hydrogen gas. And see now the heat from the reaction is burning away all of that hydrogen which is generating, and you can see the orange sodium flame. That was good.
No, that's a great chunk of molten sodium's come out of there, mate.
So, let's burn that. Oh, it's on your camera.
My dad was really into figuring out ways to engage kids in education using tools from the entertainment business. He would have loved Professor Polyakov too. The thing I love about this is that I can't imagine any scenario where scientists haven't had this much fun, but it's never really been shared with the rest of us like this, has it? One more. On any list of must-see geek films, you'll usually find The Big Lebowski. It's the story of Jeff the Dude Lebowski, who prefers his life to be smooth and laid back, much like Neil. But when a couple of guys steal his rug, he enlists the help of his motley group of friends. Chances are pretty good you've seen it if you're interested in geek culture, and if you're not interested in geek culture, you might not like it. At any rate, the movie is 10 years old, and the 10th anniversary special edition 2 DVD set comes packed in a bowling ball. There's a link in the show notes to order it from Amazon.com if you know in your heart that the dude abides. New people join us in the Geek Brief community all the time. Drobo sponsors the brief, but if you're new, you might not know we were promoting Drobo long before they started supporting us. Drobo gives you a cybernetic IT guy in a box that works night and day to keep your data safe. RAID storage is fun to learn about, and I encourage you to study it, but with Drobo, if you don't want to learn about RAID, you don't have to. It's a storage robot, and it knows how to keep your data safe so you can spend your time learning about something that matters to you. I'm Callie Lewis. Thanks for watching. Where'd my Ozzy Osbourne go?
I got every time.
You think you can fit in the hole? No. Yes, no.
I don't know.
Uh-oh. And those specs are just a repetition of it. I meant the headphone jack.